is stop chasing opportunity. Okay, start learning the right skills, because like I've said, I've gone broke. There's several times where I've lost over 100k. That wasn't the first time. The one thing that's always helped me build it back is understanding the right skills. I remember at some point I decided to hire a trainer, and I started to get into shape and I started to hit new personal records. That area of my fitness translated into my business. I was able to push myself further, hit new targets. Now we're hitting 50k, 60k, 70k months. Even my first 100k month was under the supervision of my personal trainer.
What's your opinion on Andrew Tate?
The top G. Love him or hate him, I have a very strong opinion on Andrew Tate, and that's that I f***ing hate the guy.
Why is attention the new currency?
Attention goes is where money flows. There's a guy called the Oki way. He's a guy that makes sandwiches. He's blown up a business where he has people lining up outside of his store. You can learn how to gather attention, you're never gonna have a problem making money.
So bro, tell me about how life was like when you grew up.
Life growing up was very interesting. I come from a very, very simple background. So there was 5 of us, me and my siblings. And we would find enjoyment in the smallest of things, man. You know, I grew up with a father that was like, listen, you can't buy this. Don't even look in that direction. Otherwise, you're going to get a beating at home. And I come from a very traditional background, man, where my parents were like, listen, you need to respect your parents. You know, anything we say goes. You need to respect each other as siblings. And my childhood was very simple. I didn't have overly nice things, but I wasn't piss poor either, right? Like I didn't have to struggle for food or any of that sort of stuff. So I was somewhere dead in the middle, and I felt like that built the perfect relationship between being humble and knowing how to act around people, how to behave, and how to be respectful towards people. So, you know, I'd say my childhood really motivated me quite a lot because it was filled with a lot more memories. It wasn't based on materialistic things. So now that I like to experience those things now, you know, my childhood wasn't really built on those factors.
And what would you say the impact your environment had on you as you were growing up?
That's a good question, man. I'd say, look, based on the different environments that I've been in, so I've actually had the pleasure of being in a lot of different environments, right? So starting out very young, good family, good background, traditional household, that was my very first environment. And that, I would say, shaped and molded the side of me that's very respectful, reserved, can have a conversation, can be very adaptable to any sort of different environment. And then I would say around school time, especially when I dropped out, most people don't know this about me, I didn't have 8 years of continuous growth in my business. I would say there was a period of time where I got mixed up with the wrong crowd. So I was in a very, very, very different type of environment where I'm around the wrong people, and I had an opportunity to network is the wrong word for this, but surround myself with people that were criminals, people that weren't doing the right things in life. And I would say it led to a stage where I wasn't in the right headspace, man. And now moving over to an environment where I'm able to network with multimillionaires on a consistent daily basis, people that have had businesses for over 20 years, people that have learned life lessons that I would have never even got a chance to experience unless I was able to meet these people.
And how would you say the Mehdi now is different to the Mehdi when you first started, or even before you started a business?
I would say the biggest word that comes to mind is self-confidence, right? Because when I first started out, I always knew deep down I was going to do big things. And I feel like with entrepreneurship, there's a sense of delusionalism that you have to develop, right? You have to be delusional. You can't not fully 100% without a doubt in your mind believe that you're not going to get to where you want. You have to have that belief instilled within you no matter what happens, right? So I'd say, I think Alex Hormozy says this. He says, outwork the self-doubt. And it's so true because the Mehdi starting out was fat, morbidly obese. I know you can't see it now because I'm sexy and I'm handsome now. But the point is, starting out of shape, broke, had no connections, no self-respect, very little self-respect and stuff like that, to now being able to develop and grow myself, being in one of the best shapes I've ever been in my life. You know, having learned skills like how to box gives you a lot of self-confidence. You test yourself in the fire. Having made my first million and my second million by the age of 22, which has been a great experience. And now having a network and circle of very, very well-respected entrepreneurs across the world. So I think as you continue to put in the work, it eliminates the self-doubt one block at a time. And I would say the Mehdi now is a lot more self-confident, extremely driven, extremely ambitious. And I know anything that I set my mind to is a few steps away.
And I want to touch on something as well. As you know, we were both fat at one point. How would changing, your shape, your figure, how has that helped you become the person who you are today? What changes did that create? So,
look, I would say this. I think both of us started making money while we was fat, right? So I can quite honestly say that I've always thought I was in a good shape. Like, there was a point where I was morbidly obese, but then I wasn't that. And I thought, okay, I'm in good shape, right? And, you know, I had some friends around me saying, look, you're not in great shape, right? And I was like, what the fuck do you mean, right? How much better shape do you want me to be in? And I think it definitely feeds into changing your self-identity. When you look in the mirror, there's a new level of self-confidence that unlocks. And I vividly remember when I got into a relationship with the girl that's currently my wife, I remember at some point I decided to hire a trainer. I don't know why I did it. It was an impulse decision, right? Now this guy, jacked, right? Six packs. He's got veins on top of veins, one paper cut, and the guy's finished. So that type of guy. And he's training me every single day. And I remember my income was kind of stuck around 30 to 40K a month. But the month that I hired my personal trainer, and I started to get into shape, and I started to hit new personal records, that area of my fitness translated into my business. I was able to push myself further, hit new targets. Now we're hitting 50K, 60K, 70K months. Even my first 100K month was under the supervision of my personal trainer, right? So I think it changes a lot about how you walk into the room, how people address you. And like I said earlier as well, it's your self-identity, because how people treat you and respond to you creates your self-perception of who you are, right? And it feeds into it, and it grows that self-image in your mind. And the more you grow your self-image, the higher it allows you to elevate in your journey. And I want to add another point to this. One book I read very early on in my journey was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And for a long time, you know, it taught me a lot of the people skills that I know today. He said, look, if you want someone to perform, there was a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. How he got his people to double their work performance is he changed their titles. So rather than sales professional, executive of sales, right? Head of sales. And just that one slight shift alone gives that person an added weight of responsibility, because they now live up to that new title of who they are, right? So I'll give you some free game. Next time you hire someone, give them a fucking amazing title and watch them perform.
What made you want to start a business in the first place?
I'd say there's a number of factors that made me start a business, man. I'd say the day that I went to the event and, you know, I'm sitting there and I see people that are 50, 40, 75, and they're doctors, lawyers, engineers. They're supposed to be the things that I was supposed to become. And I got a live experimentation in front of me where the speaker at the front was asking these guys, who here's a doctor, lawyer, engineer? All the hands went up, right? And who here has over 10K, 20K, 30K in their savings? Who here is happy with their life? Who here regrets going to school? And I see all the hands drop and all the hands rise when it comes to who here feels regret. And that experience really broke and shattered any old beliefs that I had and instilled me with new ones. And I'd say there's a lot of factors in terms of where do I want to see myself at the end of life, right? And I'll tell you another thing as well. I remember very vividly, during primary school, or I think they call it middle school in America, essentially all of primary school I was doing tests. Year 1 tests, year 2 tests, year 3 tests. And it's the same cycle, right? It's like, you get to this stage where apparently this is the most important test of your life. And I felt like I was being lied to. So there was always little telltale signs of things that just didn't add up, right? This is the most important test of your life. Then you go to year 7 or high school, and then you reset. And it's like, oh, now you're bottom of the barrel. You have to work all your way up to this ladder, be lied to and told this is the most important thing. But then it's not, because the next thing is more important. So I always felt like I was spinning on some hamster wheels. So I vividly remember leaving year 6, and I was very depressed, right? During summer. It's the summer holidays. I'm supposed to be happy. And I'm on Google searching up what's the meaning of life. I'm sure we've all done that at some point, right? And I was just trying to learn, why do I feel this way? There's something that doesn't add up. And I'll tell you another story as well. I remember vividly watching Fast and Furious, right? There's a car that I was obsessed with, okay? And the car that I was obsessed with was the Mazda MX-7. I think that's RX-7, Veilside, right? And I searched up the car, and the car was like 20 grand. And the body kit was another 20 grand. And I looked at the average yearly salary in the UK, and it was £24,000. So I was like, fuck. I can't even afford this car if I worked an entire year and saved up my money. How does that work? And all these little inconsistencies added up, more telltale signs, and eventually led me to start a business, man.
As you were growing up, as you got into entrepreneurship, who were your friends at the time? And have they changed? How have they changed?
Cool, man. So starting out, I had a lot of friends in school when I was academically, doing things and studying, etc. All the same people, all the same crowd of nerds. Great people, nerds, right? Essentially, after I dropped out, it was a weird shift because I was in this purgatory state of, I know I'm going to be successful and I know where I want to be and I know what my life is going to eventually look like, but I'm not there yet. So everybody around me is looking at me weird because I dropped out and now I want to start a business and they're looking at me like some delusional kid. So I lost a lot of friends, which is a very lonely process. And then the only friends that I could relate to are also people that have dropped out, but they're not entrepreneurs. They're drug dealers. They're doing certain things, you know, growing up where I did. So when I surrounded myself with them, that was my friendship circle. But then again, it was like, I like to call it like this. You ever watch Tom and Jerry? All right, cool. So you know in Tom and Jerry's, when they go to prison, they have like an ankle ball attached. It's like a weight. So it always felt like I had an ankle ball attached to my feet because I'm dragging these people. I'm trying to drag them with me, but they're so stuck in their programming and I can't change them. So then it was like an eternal feeling of loneliness again. And then essentially, as I started to go to events, I started to meet new people, meet new friends, and I kept a very small circle. After I cut off all my friends, I kept maybe 1 or 2 people very, very close. And, you know, that was my friendship circle. And it stayed that way since, right? Because even on the journey to success, you don't know who wants what from you, right? And it's very, very difficult to assess at certain times. So I like to keep it a very, very small circle. I'd say now my circle consists of people that are on the same mission as me. So, for example, you, right? We met. And at the end of the day, we have similar goals that align. And we're always in alignment with each other. We can sit down, we can record a podcast, we can do YouTube videos, we can record content together. And we're always learning new things. I teach you new things from my perspective. You teach me new things from my perspective, right? And it's like a combined thing for both of our growth. So I'd say my friendships circles have definitely changed quite a lot over the years, man.
What would you say were your biggest losses throughout your entrepreneurial journey?
All right, cool. So look, I've actually taken some massive losses, right? Now, one of the worst losses that I ever took was from Forex trading, okay? And I'll tell you something. So I was actually very involved into Forex trading. I was studying it every single night without fail. I was on the charts 24/7, couldn't sleep, chart, essentially, right? But I was balancing the marketing business at the same time. So it's very, very, like the psychology was all over the place, right? So I learned this strategy where I was trading news, right? First day of every month, news comes out, US unemployment rates, and I was very, very good at catching it. So I went to my business partner Z and we'd throw in some money. Started off small, innocent, £1,000 each. And flipped it to 4 grand, right? So 2 grand into 4. And we would double our money every single month, right? So went on for a few different months, and as the months kept going on, we started increasing and increasing. Now marketing was going great, and I'm stacking money from marketing and I'm taking it and reinvesting it into Forex. So I got to a stage where I've cleared a little bit over my first 100 grand. I'd say roughly I was about £150,000 liquid in my bank, right? Now, during this period of time, lockdown finishes, and I want to take a vacation. I want to go to Dubai. It's the first time going to Dubai. And right before I went, me and Z put a lot of money into Forex. I'd say we probably put around 60 grand each to start. And we're thinking, okay, this is the flip that's going to make us multimillionaires, or at least our first million, right? So we're trading, and the account is in profit, right? And it's like 20 grand profit, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, yes, we're going to be rich. Thinking of the Richard Mills, duffel bag walk, you know, etc. Next thing you know, I fly out to Dubai. I'm there. You know, I'm living the high life, renting cars, 5-star restaurants, Salt Bay's there. It's a crazy time. Everybody and their mom is in Dubai, right? And at this point, you know, the account starts going down and down and down, right? And I'm seeing 10 grand loss. I'm like, all right, it's all right, it's fine. 20 grand loss. I'm like, all right, 30 grand loss. Bro, now I'm having trouble sleeping, right? Because I'm like, fuck, it's a lot of money. So it goes down and down and down to the point where the account's about to blow, right? So I'm calling Z, 10 grand. We're just putting 10 grand in like it's fucking £1, right? And we keep putting more and more and more money in until we had a collective of, I'd say, a little bit over £250,000 invested into this account, right? So I'm near enough. I just bought a car, by the way, right? I just bought my Mercedes C300. It's my first car. I'm 19. And, you know, I'm in Dubai. I'm spending cash like no one's business. 5-star restaurant here, running up my credit cards. And then next thing you know, bro, I'm trying to sleep one night and I can't sleep because I'm looking at this account. And I'm getting like 1 hour of sleep, 30 minutes of sleep. And before you know it, like I'm telling my brother, hey, listen, go take this cash from here, go deposit into the bank, you know, etc. And I'm literally almost at like 5 or 10 grand to my name. And, you know, the account, I'm waiting, I'm hoping and I'm praying at this point. I have no strategy, it's just hoping at this point. And I wake up in the morning, we're about to go to Atlantis Water Park, and all the money from the account we lost. And that loss stung because I just paid 7 grand for insurance. I just bought a brand new car. I've just spent a lot of money in Dubai. I've just had the pleasure of making my first 100 grand and stacking it for just 1 or 2 months maybe. I got to experience it. And it got all swept from under me, man. So, crazy experience.
And you mentioned you took that big loss. How did you recover from it?
Cool, man. So I remember I got back to London, freezing fucking cold, depressed as hell because, you know, I've just lost pretty much everything I have. I was still driving a Mercedes at the end of it, right? So that felt good. Anyways, the point is, I just dedicated a few months to really sit down and grind like there was no tomorrow, man. Because I realized if I've made it once, I have the skills to make it. I can make it back. And what I understood from that situation, the lesson that I learned is, look, if you have 2 things that are working, don't try balance both. Just go all in on one. And I went all in on the marketing business. And the income from the marketing business doubled. It took a few months, and I was able to make it back.
Now, I know you recently moved to Dubai. Tell us about that. Why did you move to Dubai? How you been finding it?
London is amazing. London is the sunniest country in the world. The taxes definitely don't rape you. And the people are lovely amongst everything else. Look, I'm fucking with you, man. I've lived in London most of my life, man. And I always believe that you can grow up to the size of your environment, right? So for me, I felt like I've kind of outgrown everyone around me in London. And you know, it's a stage of everyone's like crabs in a bucket. They want to grab you. They want to pull you down. There's taxes here. The government wants to fuck you over in 21 different ways. They're teaching kids about things like LGBT, which I personally don't agree with. I'm a practicing Muslim, right? I can't have the government indoctrinate my kids with certain beliefs that they feel like it's okay to indoctrinate them with. They're my kids. I want to indoctrinate them how I want, right? So there's a number of different factors. And also being an entrepreneur, like I'm sure that you've experienced this too. When you make a lot of money in London, there's not much else to do. I was this close, right, to buying my first supercar in London, and this very same day that I went to Lamborghini in Sloane Street and had a conversation with my guy, someone's Range Rover got smashed in. So I'm thinking to myself, am I really going to drive a Lamborghini to fucking Tesco's or Sainsbury's and park it up there, right? Do I want to attract that wrong type of attention? I can't wear my watches in public. You know, I have several different watches that I like, can't wear them, right? My family's not safe, the weather's shit, so a number of different reasons. I don't mean to shit on London because it is where I grew up most of my life, but I feel like it's changed a lot as a country over the past 10 years, right? So moving to Dubai, I mean, you've seen it yourself. You know, in the area that we live in, there's entrepreneur central. This guy makes $1 million a month, this guy makes $5 million a month, and the environment is just perfect for growth, perfect to take it to the next level, man, and that's nothing short of what I've experienced being out here, man. People are amazing, business-oriented, halal, stainless. Anyways, you know, there's a lot of great network, lovely, welcoming people, and, you know, I'd say moving to Dubai is definitely one of the best decisions that I've ever made.
What advice do you have for someone who's just starting out as an entrepreneur or just starting their first business?
The best advice I have for someone that's starting out is stop chasing opportunity, okay? Someone's going to sit down and tell you that SMMA is the best opportunity. The other guy's going to tell you it's high-ticket affiliate marketing. The other guy's going to tell you it's building a remote closing business. Whatever the case is, stop chasing opportunity. Start learning the right skills. Because, like I've said, I've gone broke. There's several times where I've lost over 100K. That wasn't the first time. It wasn't the last time either, right? Essentially, the one thing that's always helped me build it back is understanding the right skills. So some of the best skills that you can learn is learn how to market, right? Learn how to grab attention. The world's biggest currency today is not the pound, dollar, the yen, the AED. It's simply attention. The more of it you can grab, the wealthier you're going to be in any sort of marketplace. And the second one is sales. Once you've got that attention, how do you now convert that into monetary value, aka money? So learn skill sets, don't chase opportunities.
And how did you make your first 10K per month?
Good question. I'd say making your first 10K a month is all about grinding, man. It's just about consistently showing up every day and putting in the work. Making 10 grand is not hard, right? How I personally made my first 10 grand is I realized, look, there's a problem in the marketplace, i.e. people don't have websites or funnels, which is a new form of a website nowadays, for their business. As a result, they're going to lose clients. And even if they sell a high-ticket product, high-ticket simply means anything worth over 500 to 1,000 bucks plus. If they're selling a high-ticket product and they lose 2-3 clients a month, they're losing $2,000-3,000 by not having a good website, by not having a good funnel. So if I can just charge them $1,000 to build one that is going to get them an extra 2 to 3 clients a month, they're going to pay me. It's a no-brainer, right? So all I did is specifically message a bunch of people on Instagram, message a bunch of people on Facebook, show them how can I help you improve your website for free? Give them a ton of free advice, show them areas where they're going wrong, and then speak to them over a 30-minute sales call and close the deal. Here's my offer, here's my offer. A ton of people said no. All I needed was 10 people to say yes. And when I finally hit that 10 people threshold, I made my first 10K.
And how did you go from 10K per month to 100K per month?
So the difference is, man, when you make 10K a month, you have to focus on everything. You're messaging all the people, you're calling everyone, you're delivering the product, you're building the website, everything. And you can easily make 10K a month doing all those things. The same strategy to try scale to 100K a month is fucking impossible, right? The thing is, with making 100K a month, you have to be able to focus on one thing and focus on one thing exceptionally well. So what you want to do is you want to delegate a lot of those responsibilities. So where you might do the messaging, now you hire someone else. Because you're making 10K a month, you can now afford to pay a 10% commission to someone that does that. $1,000 a month, now that's their full-time job, right? Now when it comes to closing the deals, now you can afford to pay someone 20%. That's $3,000 you're paying to open up 70% of your time, right? And then you're still making $7,000 a month. So now you can focus on solving a bigger problem, right? And that's exactly what I did. Instead of just, here, let us fix your funnel or your website, let us work with you for the next 3 months, one-on-one. Let me give you my expertise. Let me show you exactly what I did to scale to $10,000 a month, right? Let me help you with the sales process, your branding, etc., etc. Now you can have more time to improve yourself, add more skill sets that you can deliver, and then you can scale a lot easier to 100K a month.
No, I'm gonna ask you a question. What's your opinion on Andrew Tate?
The top G. So I've actually had the pleasure of meeting Andrew Tate's cousin, Luke Tate. So we trained in boxing training together. Amazing guy. And love him or hate him, I have a very strong opinion on Andrew Tate. And that's that I fucking hate the guy. I'm joking. I don't. I love the guy, man. I think he's amazing. I think it's what this generation has needed. And I think he's spreading a message of positivity, awareness to a lot of different problems, and he's helping people realize the systems that they're trapped inside of. His messaging is very simple, man. You know, get into shape, get into the best physical shape, become physically strong, make as much money as you physically can, and don't fall into the lies and the traps the government is setting for you. So I think he's something that this generation has needed for a long time. There's not a lot of masculine leaders in the generation. Who do we have? No one. So Donald Trump is a G. But the point is, I like Andrew Tate, man. Even a lot of my boxing coaches are part of his war room. And I can say that they're some of the nicest people that I've ever met, man. They believe in brotherhood. They will look after you like you're their own blood brother. And that's not something that you see very often, man. So he's definitely united a lot of our age group and communities. He's given us a new level to strive for. And he's shown us that it's possible to do big things, man.
And you mentioned earlier that attention is the new currency. Tell us a bit more about how that works. Why is attention the new currency?
Good question, man. So I think where attention goes is where money flows, right? Look at some of the biggest businesses in the world that are being created from absolutely nothing. There's a guy called the Oki Way. If you haven't heard of him, he's a guy that makes sandwiches, right? And he's got a little deli in New York where all he does is he creates sandwiches. And all he simply did is create TikToks where he's like, then we wrap it up and put the chopped cheese on the grill, etc. And just by creating 10 to 15 second long videos, a minute long videos, he's blown up a business where he has people lining up outside of his store. So that attention, there's people that are now going to fly out to New York. And one of the bucket list things to do while they're out there is get a sandwich from the guy and record a snap, right? So I think attention is the world's biggest currency, especially with TikTok, short form content. And if you can learn how to gather attention, you're never going to have a problem making money.
And, you know, you spoke about what you're currently doing. What are your plans for the future?
Good question, man. So some of my plans for the future is I've done a lot of work, but it's been in private, right? And I feel like this is why one of my biggest plans for the future is I want to build a massive fucking community. And the purpose of this community is to help a lot of different entrepreneurs that are stuck, that want to be able to network, that don't have the right people to network with, and can have an opportunity to really quickly fast track the information that they need to grow to the next level. I'd say the next thing that I want to be able to focus on is definitely growing my YouTube. If you haven't already, subscribe. But essentially, you know, getting to a point where I can create a lot of free content, sharing with people some of the biggest mistakes that I've made. So A, they can avoid them. B, share with them things that it took me 8 years to understand and really know to be able to monetize that information. So yeah, man, just do more for helping the entrepreneurial community and the entrepreneurial space.
All right, cool. And, you know, is there anything a bit more specific or, you know, what else would you say?
Yeah, I would say a lot of it involves with collaborating with people that I look up to. So you mentioned Andrew Tate earlier. he's definitely on my bucket list of people that I want to meet. And I want to sit down with him because I feel like our messages definitely align. You know, a lot of the things that he said, get into best physical shape, it's something that I've done, and it's massively helped impact my business, my mindset, my journey, the way I interact with the people around me. So I'd love to do a sit down on a podcast with Andrew Tate. CEO Cast, I love his messaging. You know, he spreads a lot of positivity. He's been shining a light on entrepreneurs for a very, very long time. I'd love to sit down and have a conversation with him. And definitely just do more collaborative projects where I partner up with people that are doing amazing things inside the community and use that to spread a message which helps impact a lot of people's lives. So 2 years later, 3 years later, when they're at the peak of their success and you ask them, how do they get there? They can say, I sat down and watched a Mehdi podcast.